Hollywood, California. Place of dreams. A place of challenges. And home to a beast named Runyon.
I just want to say that I've never done anything in my life. And, you know, I've smoked pot and I've drank these last 20, 25 years. And now I'm finally trying to get, you know, trying to do something worthwhile. And thank you for, you know, leading this expedition. I would do things like just watch The Price is Right and masturbate to the news. And now I'm finally going to summit.
Well, that's a truly inspiring story, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck on your way up the mountain.
Jim has been guiding actors up Runyon Canyon for over 6 years. Eddie found Jim on Craigslist.
And on your way, please accept this complimentary packet of emergency drinking water.
Wow.
Because I know you'll need it.
Thank you. So it's this way? Which way is it?
Yes, I thought was...
For climbers who are in shape, the summit can take as much as 35 minutes.
I want to go home. I want to go home.
But for Eddie, this trek will take 6 days.
We wanted to do something really special, something that would make us stand out.
Right, so we brought a gun.
Yeah, now, what we've done is we've loaded one live hollow point round in the chamber. My partner is now going to spin the chamber, and I'm going to tell a joke while he points the gun at my face. At the end of the joke, Jim will slowly squeeze the trigger, and if I'm lucky, we'll hear nothing more than an audible click. It's then my turn to hold the gun on Jim, and we'll go back and forth in this manner until we run out of time.
Please, hold it down till the end.
Are you ready, Jim?
Yes, I am, Barry.
Okay, here we go. Well, I've been trying to meet women, and somebody told me the best way to meet women is to do something you enjoy. That means right away you have something in common. And so I've spent the last year smoking dope and watching television. And nobody's come in the apartment. It's pretty good.
Well, my dad's a horrible racist. When I say horrible, I mean he's just not very good at it. He used to scream things like, damn Syro-Hittites! Lousy, stinking Etruscans! If I trip over one more terracotta...
Well, dating's weird, isn't it? I mean, you know, women, they go in the bathroom, they stay there, and what's this bungee jumping? I mean,
Sometimes I get a little impatient.
Yeah, well...
.6:15 in Los Angeles on Emmy night. I'm Ed Crasnick. You're watching This Week in Comedy, the show that's all about comedy from the perspective of the creators of Same. Tonight is no exception. We have two terrific guests, actually three terrific guests, and the first of those would be a gentleman who is an actor, a very accomplished actor, a lot of solo shows. He's been seen on shows like Weeds and Monk and the Sarah Silverman program, and tonight You might have seen him on an Emmy sketch with maybe Carol Burnett, I want to say. We'll talk to him about that. Mr. Eddie Pepitone is here tonight. Comedian, actor, raconteur. And along with Eddie, a gentleman who is a very accomplished writer, comedy writer, stage performer, and formerly one half of the team of Lank and Earl. Mr. Jim Earl is here. Jim is here, and we're going to check in with him about what's going on in his life. And also, Jim's former partner, and who is a fine writer living in New York, Mr. Barry Lank, will be joining us a little bit later on the program via Skype, which is a technology that I have not heard of. You know, this is a big night for us because we're starting a little late because the Emmy traffic, very difficult here. Everybody was in the Neil Diamond lane. I don't know what I'm saying. You have to know the lyrics to Cracklin' Rosie to get on board. How are you? All right, so Emmy traffic, and you know, they say that LA has no seasons. What are the seasons in Los Angeles? And of course, there are 4 seasons. They are charity season, development season, pilot season, and of course we're in the middle of award season right here in LA, 4 seasons. And the Emmys are certainly a big night and something that I did not realize that were happening. That's how close I am to the Emmys right now. We're 5 blocks away from the people who produce Cops. That's as close as we are getting to the Emmys right now. But actually, I will tell you that television was very important growing up in my life. My family and I, we used it to avoid communication, but we also used it to bring up a lot of feeling. It was therapy for us, I think, and it did bring us together. Sunday nights at 8 was the Ed Sullivan Show, and of course we're getting close to the Jerry Lewis Telethon, which I like to call vaudeville sweeps. It's sort of a sweep type program. And in my family, everybody would sit around and make comments. Like my mother would be sitting there and she'd say, "Oh my God, I'll tell you something. That Vicky Carr, unbelievable. You can tell, you can say what you want about Vicky Carr, but I'll tell you something. She's got the goods." This was my family. My father, of course, was sleeping because he was the winner of the Willie Loman Lifetime Achievement Award. He's sleeping. My sister is crying, just bawling her eyes out because somebody from a soap opera was on presenting an award. And then there was a great story about a comic that I knew. Max Alexander was a comic, and he went on the Jerry Lewis Telethon, and they prepared him. They said, "Now, Jerry likes your comedy, but he is a very busy man, so he may not be able to talk to you. Don't take it personally." So he goes on, he kills, he does very well. He's standing there, all of a sudden, there's Jerry Lewis right here, and he's kissing him, and he's saying, "What a great talent, this Max Alexander." Max is amazed. He goes off. He looks in the wings. There's Jack Jones with a big angry face. And Jack Jones looks at him and he says, "Who the fuck are you?" And so that's a little bit about, and that's the first time I've ever said that word on this show. Now, I want to back up here because something very exciting has happened to This Week in Comedy. We are the #1 podcast of any kind, video, audio, doesn't matter, in South Africa. And I'm not kidding. We are the #1 podcast in South Africa, and I want to thank everyone, all of our friends in South Africa. And as a tribute to you, I bless the rains down in South Africa. As a tribute to you, and I'm not going to play Toto. What I'm going to play is your national anthem. Vuvuzela, South Africa, do it. And that was a little portion of the Vuvuzela, which oddly enough sounded like the shofar. But you know what? It's going to be Hebrew Sweeps in a couple weeks, and we'll have the shofar. We'll have a shofar blowing contest on the show. I'm sure of that. Thank you, South Africa, for making us #1. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. And next is going to be Tanzania, and then we're going off to Algeria, and then we plan to sweep the whole nation of Morocco. So thank you so much. Never has such an honor been bestowed upon me. Now, I will tell you that I did win an Emmy Award. I'm an Emmy-winning writer. And I want to tell you the story about it, but it's just too sad. No, I did win an Emmy Award, but they took it away from me. And I'm still looking for it. But it's a very exciting moment. So even though, you know, it looks like a lot of craziness and a lot of hype, when you're actually standing on that stage and the show that you work for wins, It's a very exciting experience. And when they take it away from you, it's even more exciting, which we'll talk about in a little while with Eddie Pepitone and Jim Earl coming up. Right now, so much happening. It's my pleasure to introduce a young lady who is making a big name in stand-up comedy right now. Tonight she's here to read the news. She is our one and only Julie Mitchell with the Comedy News. Julie?
Hello, Ed.
So great to see you.
Do I look different?
You do look a little bit different. What's happened with you? What is the change all about?
I lost my stand-up virginity. I mean, I had done it before, but never successfully. So this time I did it well.
And how did that feel?
It felt really amazing. Even though it was just 5 of my friends in the audience, I still feel like the laughter was genuine. It was really good.
You're still on a high from it, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I've been like, I mean, I didn't even have to take my medication this week. That's how high I've been.
That makes one of us. Now, tell us what happened? Can you take us through? Then we'll do the news afterwards, but tell us what happened.
Well, I was telling jokes, and people didn't laugh at the jokes, but they laughed when I thought they wouldn't.
Right.
Which at first bothered me, but then I just embraced it, because I was like, what would Ed do? He would just embrace it, because I'm sure people laugh at you a lot when you're not expecting it.
When I'm least expecting it, that's right. Yeah. And embracing is a very good thing to do.
Yeah, but I did have a heckler.
How'd you deal with that, and what did they heckle?
Well, I said, I was talking about actresses in romance comedy movies, and I said, can you name some? And then a guy said Katherine Heigl.
He said he yelled out Katherine Heigl?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would throw me off too.
I was totally thrown off. I said, sir, that was a rhetorical question. You're not supposed to answer that. And he said, I didn't know that. And I said, well, I would think it would be obvious I'm on stage and you're not. And then it got weird.
Then it got a little weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get into a discussion with them, it's semantics, it gets weird.
How do you handle hecklers?
I pretend that they're not there, just like my feelings.
Okay.
No, I have the same approach. Actually, I did get very angry at a guy in Texas. I was in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I got angry, which is not a good way to do it. They just thought it was funny. You know, a Texan sees a balding Jew on stage and be angry, really angry, and then he just laughs. You know?
Right. Well, that's why I always laugh at you. I'm from Texas.
Was that a funny take? Was that a funny bottle take?
That was a good funny bottle take.
All right.
Yeah.
I do a lot of physical stuff on the show.
I might steal that for my next bit.
Please. Now, Julie, so where did you perform? Tell us, and are you going to perform again?
Well, it was at Ye Olde King's Head, which is a restaurant, but they put us in a back room and they closed the curtain. I guess they didn't want anybody to see us.
I think that might be called the green room.
Oh, the green room.
Yeah.
Yeah, where people wait around.
That was great. That was a good. So you had a good time. You're going to do it again?
I did. I'm going to do it again in 6 months.
It's good to pace yourself.
I think so, because someone was telling me you can go to open mic nights, but they said there are other comedians there, and other comedians never laugh at you. And I said, what's the point?
Yeah, I know. What's the point if they're not going to? I know what you're talking about. I've been trying to quit for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And just by sheer will or depression, I keep hanging on.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's about.
I'm not going to quit. I'm just making myself in demand. That's all.
You're so smart. The more you say no, the more they want you.
That's what my husband says.
Julie Mitchell, everybody. Now, Julie, you've got a few. I'm going to come see you perform because I know you're very funny.
Oh.
You'll be very funny on stage.
Thanks, Ed.
You've got a few people. You don't have to do the whole thing, but can you tell some of the highlights of where people can go? You folks in South Africa, pay close attention. You might want to go out to the clubs and see these people.
Well, you can go see Bill Cosby. He used to have a TV show. I watched that a few times. Did you know that?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
No.
he had a TV show. He had a family.
Very funny.
He was funny.
It's great.
You can go see Cheech and Chong. They're in Redding, California, and they smoke a lot of pot on stage, so that might be fun. You can see Chelsea Handler. She's the only lady I have on the list, Ed.
I'm sorry about that.
She's performing in Atlantic City. That's in New Jersey.
Maybe she could get together with Cheech and I'm sure she'll be getting high from secondhand smoke, even though they're in California.
I bet that's
Good
true.
joke there, Ed. All right. Julie, I'm sorry you talk so much. Thank you for coming.
Oh.
And next week, let's go over some of your material.
Oh, I don't want people to steal it from me.
Let's go over some of my material.
Okay, I'll give you tips.
Okay. Julie Mitchell, everybody, Comedy News. Thank you, Julie. We'll see you next week. Actually, in 2 weeks because we're off for Labor Day because we have to retool some of the cameras. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to before I go into this, I have to tell you that you know, if you do a top 10 list, tonight's Emmy night, and you do a top 10 list of your favorite shows, you have to think, to me, it's about the shows that not only make you laugh, we're doing a comedy show, but the shows that move you in some way. And these are some shows that have moved me or that have made me laugh in some way. And I have to start with a clip from every comedian wishes that their life were like this. And of course, it's the great Carl Reiner and creating the show, The Dick Van Dyke Show. And let's take a look now, guys, at a clip from one of my favorite episodes called Coast to Coast Blabbermouth. This is The Dick Van Dyke Show.
There she is. There's the little lady who put you out of business. Your husband's gonna let you take the rap all by yourself, huh?
Oh, no, Alan, if Rob knew that I was here, he'd kill me.
Good, I'll call him.
No, Alan, please. Rob, as you know, Alan, you see, What? How's your foot?
How does it look? You doing here? If you like to see ruins, why don't you go to Greece?
You're not ruined, really.
First my leg, then my hair. What are you after, my liver?
Well, Alan, I came to apologize and to tell you personally that I'd like to try to explain.
Explain what? You got a big mouth.
I do, I know, Alan.
If you wanted a free rotisserie or a dryer, I would have gotten it for you. I would have gotten your house, a show place.
Oh, Alan, you don't have to do that. Alan, could I say something?
You got more to say?
Well, I've been thinking, Alan, and, well, for instance, I think you look very nice without your,
hair?
Oh. Well, yes, and, well, for instance, now, I'm not saying this just because I'm in trouble, Alan, although goodness knows I am.
Oh, yes.
But believe me, sincerely, Alan, really sincerely, and you can ask anybody, I have always said that I like you so much better without your,
It's hair! You didn't have any trouble saying it on television.
How about that? How about Coast to Coast Blabbermouth, The Dick Van Dyke Show? Every comic wanted to be doing push-ups in the office with Sally and Buddy. And I remember Rosemary was so great. You'd ask her questions. You'd hear just great straight face. Say, I hear you finished a very exciting project. She'd say, yes, my lunch. Fantastic. All right. Folks, we are very fortunate to have with us a gentleman who is a great comic and can be heard on the David Feldman comedy podcast regularly. He's also on the Mark Maron podcast quite a bit. He's been on the show Weeds. He's been on the show Monk. He's a great actor. He's a musician. He is a soothsayer. He is a gentleman who was on the Emmys tonight doing a sketch. We're going to talk to him about that in just a bit. Say hello to Eddie Pepitone.
Hi, Eddie. Hi.
Good to see you, Ed.
Great to see everybody in South Africa.
They're watching us.
No, that's great. That's great.
You're excited about it?
No, I think it is great. Are you guys still making the Krugerrands, is it?
I think they are.
Okay.
Krugerrands.
Kruger.
Oh, that's Jim Earl, everybody.
Hi.
Jim is here. Jim, Earl, of course, a very fine writer, a very talented comedian, with a band called the Clutter Family that you can hear on iTunes, and also one of the contributing writers to the David Feldman Comedy Podcast, and also wrote on Air America, many different shows.
The
Spike
Daily
Ferrisson,
Show.
right?
Spike Ferrisson Show, The Daily Show. I was edited out of Not Ready for Primetime News. I was rejected by MTV a couple of times.
Fantastic.
Evidently, I can't write for 13 to 19-year-old girls.
Well, that could be a problem.
I beg to differ, America.
My God. Jim Earl, everybody, is here. Jimmy, nice to see you again. Now, the first thing is tonight is Emmy night. And so we all have kind of like interesting experiences with Emmy night at this table.
Can I ask you something? Did you really have an Emmy taken away from you?
I did. I'll tell you the story in a little bit.
Okay.
Wow.
But I want to hear, but I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I won. I was on stage and I won and I had the thing. It was just it was a whole thing. But at any rate, you performed over the weekend. You were on the Emmys this weekend.
Yes, I was. I did a sketch with Jimmy Fallon, who is hosting the Emmys. Tina Fey, you may have heard of her.
Yes.
John Hamm from Mad Men.
Yeah.
The guy from Lost, the big guy. I don't know his name. Jorge? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The blonde guy?
No, that's Fabio from the commercials. This is a big fella. Have you ever watched Lost?
No.
No? Me neither. And I felt
love
bad.
the program.
It's a huge show.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I was with Jane Lynch and a couple of people from Glee. So it was really, I was surrounded by, Joel McHale, who's a very nice guy.
Very funny.
And I played a janitor. I'm the go-to blue-collar comedian.
They go to you, they call, we need a blue-collar guy.
We need a blue-collar guy who's funny. You know, there's a lot of blue-collar people who are just, crying about their lives. But I'm funny.
You're
I'm
funny.
blue-collar.
Like, you're funny. Here's how I know you're, well, of course I know how funny you are, but you would not be on the blue-collar comedy tour.
That's a good point.
You see the differentiation?
You may be funny
if
you're not on the blue-collar.
If you're not.
If you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
I respect what they do. And I hold my hand there.
That's a Hollywood thing, isn't it?
Yeah, respect
to
what
say,
they do.
I respect, like you never really say you don't like something.
Because you never know when that person, you're going to go into a room, like Arlene Sorkin's a friend of mine, she once went in on a pitch. I love Hollywood horror stories.
Me too.
It should be a whole show. So she goes in on a pitch and she says, well, we have a show, I'm going to tell you, even if you don't like it, it can't be any worse than Fish Police. And it was the executive producer of Fish Police. The show. I mean, all those. There was a show called Fish Police.
Fish Police.
That's what Emmys are all about. Don't be Fish Police, but don't also say the truth about how you feel about the shows, because you might work with them.
Yeah.
Fish Police is a hit in South Africa.
But this is over. This show is number one. Fish Police is two.
Yeah.
A close second. Tell us about. Give us the whole layout of what happened to you in the Emmys. You go in.
Well. Yeah, it was my first experience with the Emmys, and they're doing it at the Nokia Theater downtown. And for me, it's a little overwhelming. I mean, just to be around all these celebrities, because I go through like the 7 stages of death.
Yes.
When I'm around celebrities, first I'm angry.
You're.
I'm angry because I am not a big celebrity, and I'm just angry. I'm in my head. I'm like, who do these people?
Right.
Like I'm sitting there. Who do they think they are?
Right.
And then they start talking to me, and a couple of them recognize me, and I go into the second stage, which is bargaining.
Bargaining.
I don't know.
No, it is bargaining.
I eventually come to acceptance, and I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad, You're
the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross of the Emmys.
Oh, who is that again?
She's the one who did the stages of death.
Oh, is that right?
The 5 stages.
Do you know who the Emmys was named after?
It's named after Emmylou Harris. No, I don't know who it is. I don't know.
We'll be back in a
Auntie M? Auntie M? I don't know. Who are the
woman
Emmys?
that is as an old Hollywood figure. I forget her name. And so does everybody.
But her first name was Emily.
I believe so, yeah.
Isn't Emmy much better than Emily? It would be. And now the winner of the next Emily Award. It wouldn't be as good.
Wouldn't be as good.
The Emily Dickinson Awards. You don't hear about those, do you? No, you do not. Anyway, so you're over there with all these people. You're doing a sketch, and is everybody? I mean, are people talking? Are they serious about the work?
Yeah. Well, you know what? And I'm glad I wasn't involved in this part of the sketch. There was a choreographer there, and they were doing dance steps, and I have tremendous dyslexia when it comes to dancing. I really do. So I wasn't part of that. So they were all kind of concentrating on their little... It was a big opening number to the Emmys. I didn't see it. But I played the janitor who just does a couple of things. But it was nice to get recognized by a couple of these.
Very cool. And
people are tweeting to me today saying, oh, I saw you on the Emmys. So for me, what it does... And I want to talk to all the people in South Africa about this. If you're thinking of getting into showbiz, you know, you need to build credibility. Mm-hmm. So it built some credibility.
Well, I'm very happy, and I can't wait to go home and watch it. And I'll probably go home during the show and watch it. You guys take over. No, that's great. That's my daughter. My daughter, I have to say, she's probably not watching. I want to say hi to my 5 years old and 10 months daughter, Shayna Lily. I love you, honey. I'm sorry I didn't say hello to you at the top of the show. Daddy's a little scattered, and Daddy needs some pain go bye-bye juice. I don't know what that means. I love you. Okay, so Jimmy,
hi.
Now you also had an experience with the Emmys, I think. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. You have won an Emmy Award.
Yes, I have. First of all, before I go into that, I'd like to say hello to no one at home.
No one in particular?
I have nothing at home.
There's nobody at home?
Just me, my books, my poetry.
Do you want to say hello to some of your books?
I'd like to say hello to the who's who in ancient Roman archaeology.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Catch-22, maybe?
That's about what?
Hello.
Don't get you.
All right. So now you've had some experience with you've written on some of the greatest shows.
Ever.
Some really, really funny television programs.
That's right.
Do you like the writing? Do you like, now describe different
process?
Do you like the process of writing on a show?
You know, when you get your stuff on and it's not over-edited and hacked up by accountants, then that's a lot of fun to watch it, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, The Daily Show, we could write something and 2 hours later it would be on the show.
Which is great.
Yeah, yeah. And that was fun.
And so, but other programs, not so. See, no. I feel like sitcoms, it's a very strange thing. That process, one of the funniest things I ever saw was I worked on a show that was created by Jonathan Katz, who, you know, is a comedy genius pretty much. And so he created the show, and he thought that having a writer's room was such an odd idea that he literally could not sit in the room without giggling. He would sit in the room and he could not contain himself because he thought, this is insane. A group of people writing a script that's put up on a wall is insane. And you know what? In some way, I mean, I know that there are some great rooms, some great writing rooms in there, but some of these, we're going to take a look at another clip and then we're going to come back. But take a look at a show which was not written in that manner. Which was written, people would take a script, they'd write it themselves, the other guys might have punched it up, but there's no room, there's no group writing, really, I don't think. Take a look at All in the Family. Let's take a look at this. Now, this is not a comedic clip, but it's a moment that I will never forget. You got All in the Family, guys? Is the Stivics go west? Yeah, that's it. Take a look at this clip from All in the Family. This is one of the greatest.
Hey, listen, have a good trip there, huh? Have a good trip.
Yeah.
Here.
I know you always thought I hated you.
Oh.
But I love you.
Hey, you'll be sure and send postcards every now and then, will you? Of course, your mother-in-law, she's gonna want to know that you're all right. You know? Well, it's a good sky. Take off and have a good trip.
Yeah. Bye, Arch.
I got you a beer, Archie. Here I come. Here's your beer.
Yeah, leave it, David.
So here's the thing. You know, it's a comedy show, of course, but why am I playing that clip? Because sometimes comedy can be moving. Sometimes it doesn't have to be. You know, that's something. Even when I was a kid, I was watching that show, and I never forgot it because that's TV at its best. Like, you know, sometimes you need to be moved. Sometimes people need to feel something, and it's okay to do that in a comedy sometimes. So here we have these great characters, and TV is, you know, there's some great TV out there, but I don't think I'll ever see anything like that. I don't think there'll ever be characters like that. I mean, remember, that is a very biting, satirical show. That man he's a bigot. But he has a lot of different parts of him, and that comes out in that episode, you know.
Was that the last episode?
It's not the last one, but it's the one that's the last for the whole cast being together, the original cast, where they moved to California.
Yeah, I felt that could have been punched up a little bit.
You didn't like it?
Well, I felt that...
flat.
No, I agree with you. I mean,
you as an actor, I mean,
I think with you, I'm simpatico with you as far as comedy having pathos, you know. And I don't think I think there's a lot of comedy that doesn't have pathos, that is just very surface. And I feel like people like surface stuff, and I get bored with that very easily.
You know, I'm not sure that they like it. I'm just not sure that they get enough of the other. And I think if they got the other more often, they would actually really enjoy it. They'd actually really get it. I mean, you know, they just don't get it. They're not raised on that diet.
A good show now is Modern Family.
Yeah.
And it's very funny, but they go to a level with it, not as deep as that.
Right.
Because that's so brilliant, but they go to a level where it's about love. Like, in other words, you know, what you're talking about now, I don't know, Jim probably doesn't understand this, but comedy and tragedy, are so linked.
Yes.
And the reason why things are funny, and again, Jim can't relate to
probably
this.
Can't relate to it. Yeah.
But the reason why things are funny is because we're in a tragedy, folks. Life is a tragedy. We die.
I think Bruce...
You don't know what's right!
Excuse me, who turned up the volume? I think Bruce Valanche could have just punched that damn scene up and made it funny, for God's sake.
Bruce. He could have come in.
We need a script doctor for this, because there's just too much, you know, reality. No, I agree 100% with what Eddie said, except for most of it. I think.
Yeah. You agree with everything except for what he said, actually.
I agree with
That's how they talk in Hollywood. I agree with what he said, all due respect.
Yeah.
I don't think it was good.
What you did was hilarious.
I don't think it was good, but they stay with the same attitude.
What you did was hilarious, but I'm not loving it.
Right.
Yes.
I'm
not in love with it. No, I think, you know, people, you know, like W.C. Fields and Buster Keaton, they all had pathos, and Chaplin.
Right.
But
Chaplin
Fields
had that in spades.
I think Fields was much better with that because he muttered things under his breath, and then he was always this put upon, henpecked husband, and then he came out on top all the time. And he was a great actor too, a great dramatic actor.
He was a great actor.
He looked very tragic. Fields, and a lot of comedy shows have models now. Like it's models being funny, and
they don't look flawed.
They don't look flawed.
And this is true of a lot of, you know, there's a lot of actors who come out and they're known for something else, for being a star in a film or something, and they get into a comedy, they don't want to look bad.
Is that right?
And the thing is, if you don't look flawed, you can't be in a comedy.
Just like Entourage, that character in Entourage who refuses to be in the monkey cartoon. What's that about?
You're still watching that show? Yeah. I thought that show hit hit its peak.
You think so?
Episode 3, first season.
And then, and then I actually am following them because I'm trying to become part of that. Because I thought it was a real group of people. I didn't realize that they were actors. The acting is so seamless that I didn't realize that they were acting. I thought it was people meeting and they turned the camera on. South Africa, I recognize you. Vuvuzela. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thanks, guys.
Always that way up the radishes.
Now,
shout out to the Boer Wars. That was a great war, the Boer Wars. If any war needed to be fought.
Nobody knows their history like you. Nobody knows real history like you, world history, and nobody knows TV history like me.
I love the Dutch.
Let's meet in the middle and have a conversation.
The Dutch are
What's
incredible.
wrong with you now? What? Who?
The Dutch. The Dutch are incredible.
Well, the Dutch. David Feldman has a lot of jokes about the Dutch. He has 10 minutes
South
on the
Africa is Dutch. It was Dutch Afrikaners.
There's no reason to be angry about it.
I'm not
what about
angry.
the Dutch treat process?
The who what?
Dutch treat?
Dutch treat.
You ever go out on a date and do a Dutch treat?
I'm a bigger fan of that than I am the Dutch oven, I can tell you that.
I love the physical humor that's going on at the table. Now listen.
Don't put that on. That's very tacky. Very tacky.
Now listen. Here's another question floating to the table.
Shoot,
Jimmy.
Right.
With you, have you had an experience now where you're in show business and you feel like this is great? I'm really proud of what I did now. I'm proud of what I wrote, or I'm proud of what I appeared in. Has there been one thing that stood out for you in your career?
Everything and nothing.
So there are times when everything seems to work. Now you
no, I'm saying there have been times. Yeah, I mean this stuff. Yeah, the act that I did with Barry, I was very proud of a lot of that.
Well, you guys were amazing. You were an amazing comedy team. What is you were amazing. And now what's the difference between now going out on your own? Was that a difficult transition for you to make? Because you had a partner for such a long time.
It was very difficult because basically I didn't want to have a stand-up career really, because stand-up comedy is bleak.
Yeah.
And you go out on the road, you leave your home base, it's even bleaker.
And you don't have anybody to relate to. At least to your partner, you're in it together.
You're all alone, and the only thing between you and a rope, a noose in the shower, is a TV.
And thank God for it. What kind of TV would you watch?
It's very hard. You can't go on the road, and when you're on the road and you're bombing alone on stage, or somebody yells out, "Hey, Thumbdick," and then you can't turn to nobody and say, "This sucks." It's better when you have two people on stage and have fun with each other.
But that whole lifestyle, Eddie, I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, when I used to go on the road a lot, and I'd go on the road, and, you go to these cities, you have certain friends that you know, but then you come back home, and everybody's like living lives, and they're going on to have relationships and things like that, and you're just kind of marking time.
I disagree.
Oh, get out of here. No,
I think it's classic. What you're talking about is like, it's a grass is greener type of thing, because people who are staying home are probably looking at you on the road going, boy, I wish I could travel, and the excitement that fella's having. I'm just doing the same thing every day. Every day I get up, and the kids and this and that. No, you know what I mean?
That's why he's the blue-collar comic, for those reasons. No, I know.
And I know what Jim is saying.
Right.
I know what Jim is saying, too, because I had to do improv and sketch comedy for the first 20 years of me doing comedy, because I found stand-up far too difficult, being singular and facing it singularly.
Right.
But now I feel like it's very triumphant when you can, hold the stage for 45 minutes and do your own thing, and the reward is very big,
Can I give you an example?
I just want to say we're going to bring in your partner. If that's okay. If you want to say, you want to hold that, or why don't you tell me now, and then we'll bring in Barry after a clip.
Okay. Well, this is an example of why it's good. When you're alone on a gig, and so you're in the second week, and it's after a so-so performance, and you come back to the comedy condo, and you're in your own little room trying to just, break down and go to sleep, and you hear until 2 a.m. in the morning the opening act having an argument with the married woman he brought into the living room, whose husband drove her there.
Yeah.
And the argument is pretty much, get that thing out of my face. Come on, come on, come on. Get that thing out of my face.
Oh,
come on. I'm arguing, him pleading for oral sex.
It's the stuff dreams are made out of.
That's funny when you have somebody there with you laughing at it.
It'd be better if Barry was there with you.
Yeah, and he was, and it was hilarious.
Well, okay, we're going to find out a little bit more about that. Shortly, we're going to be joined by Barry Lank, who is on Skype in New York City. But before I do that, I want to show another quick clip, if you don't mind. Let's show another one of my favorite shows. I couldn't get the TV clip was very hard to get, so I got the movie that inspired the television series, and a great song that opened the show. I don't know if you knew that there were lyrics to this song. Take a look at MASH right now. This is the movie. Here's Suicide is Painless.
Through early morning fog I see visions of the things to be, the pains that are withheld for me. I realize and I can see that suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I please. The game of life is hard to play. I'm going to lose it anyway. The losing card I'll someday lay. So this is all I have to say. That suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave.
I'll always remember you just like this.
Please, the only way to win.
I don't know if you knew that, but the theme song, the theme to the show, MASH, of course, MASH came from a film directed by Robert Altman, a great film.
Elliot Gould.
And Elliot Gould and Donald Sutherland. And that's John Schuck in the coffin, and he's very depressed about his life, and they decide to give him a suicide capsule, and they put him in the coffin, and they sing that song, which became the theme song to the show MASH. Anyway, Barry, that's a good note to bring you in on. Ladies and gentlemen, a gentleman joining us via Skype, a writer, a fine comedy writer, a fine performer, guy who's been doing a lot, and I want to talk to you about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Barry Lank joining us via Skype from New York. Barry? Do you know who's here? Do you know who's here with us, Barry?
I know.
Right.
Who's there?
You refuse to recognize your ex-partner. Jim Earl is here. Eddie Pepitone is here.
Yes.
Barry, for a long time, you were part of a great comedy team of Lank and Earl. And you're very depressed about it, or what's your feeling on it now, in hindsight?
In hindsight, it was great in hindsight. At the time, I was going broke, so in foresight, it was terrible. But in hindsight, yeah, there were. I saw the country.
Yeah.
One way to do that.
Did you guys do a lot of work on the road? I don't think of you as road comics per se.
We went out there. We went out there just enough to preclude any other sort of career, as I recall. Yeah, the incident Jim referred to, that was El Paso. Yes. We did many other things in Texas. I remember being approached by a very nice couple in Port Arthur, Texas, who told us how much they enjoyed our act. And Jim was always looking for something to eat. This was a constant process of looking for vegetarian food in the Deep South. And these people said, "Oh well, there's this street here. You just go down there, and they got every kind of food." And they said, "Yeah, they have Italian food. Yeah, they have a Pizza Hut. And if you want Mexican food, you get Taco Bell, and all you can do is nod to these very sweet people in their attempt to be very cosmopolitan."
Now, Barry, you're originally from L.A. and how did you get started in comedy? How did you I still really don't know the story of how you and Jim met up.
Jim and I met up because I was 15 and he was 16 and he had a car. We went to high school together out in Claremont, in San Gabriel Valley.
Wow.
Which many of your South African listeners may be familiar with.
It's the gateway to South Africa. It's not the doorway.
Yes, it is.
Barry used to run whores in Hongo.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
I understand. So what did you guys? So did you guys start performing together in high school, or was it just sort of like you became friends, or what did you do?
Well, I mean, we'd be obnoxious together, yeah, and that was a sort of show. We didn't do it on stage, no.
Yeah.
No, we just went to high school together. And then we went to college together after Jim transferred out of Berkeley, and then I started doing stand-up by myself, which was not that interesting to me after a very short while. Mm-hmm. And then we teamed up after Jim graduated. After Jim graduated college, we started doing stuff.
Yeah, and did the act evolve? Was it very different from what it started as time went on, or was it did you pretty much have the same characters, the same roles the whole time?
I for years I was trying to figure out what our roles were. I guess we were whatever we started out as, we continued as that. That never changed, even though I figured out what it was.
Can we do something? Is it possible, Jim? Can we do something? You said that there's a small thing that you might be able to do.
Did you get a close-up of me for reaction on this?
Yeah, let's get a. I'm sorry, we don't have a cameraman in here. I can operate the camera, but I can't host the show and operate the camera.
We could do.
I can't even do one of those things. What? Go ahead.
We could do one short 10-second bit, maybe. The comedy team of Bad and Worse.
Okay.
Want to do that?
Oh, sure.
Here's a first, South Africa. This is live comedy via Skype for you in South Africa.
Okay. Well, hi. Welcome to be here next week for the comedy team of Bad and Worse. I'm bad.
I'm worse.
I kill people.
I eat them.
And we dance.
It's just that easy. It's not hard. Wait, we're going to go. Wait.
and then we yell, "Fuck you, people! You know what funny is?" Then Eddie comes on board and starts yelling at me.
And Eddie yells at you. That's how easy it is. It just happens in the moment. We don't plan it. There's no right now. I should say there was something that happened. The Holy City Zoo was a big club in San Francisco. Actually, it was a very small club.
It was a very tiny club,
but it was a club that a lot of people in San Francisco sort of started at, and it was way out in the avenues, and it was beside an old rock and roll club called the Last Day Saloon. And you'd be on stage there. It held like maybe 65 people.
I think 80.
80? So you're on stage there, and I'm hearing the guy who sang Patches. You know the song Patches? Clarence, whatever his name was, he's next door. Clarence Carter is playing Patches, and you can hear him louder than you can hear the comic on stage. Patches, then one day the food, and you're like, what?
And then all of a sudden,
Patches. Eddie, was there a club like that? And you started in New York.
Yes, I'm a New York boy, and I've been in LA about 7 years. There's a lot of clubs like that, small venues that are right next to nightclubs in New York.
Yeah.
And you're just hearing a pulsating rhythm.
But it's not a comedy rhythm, is it?
It's not a comedy rhythm at all, and, you're trying to block that out, or you're trying to pretend that no one can hear that. Or you go the opposite way and go, "Can you believe this, folks? That all we can hear is this pulsating rhythm? What the hell is that?" And that's good for a little bit.
Yeah, but when you do it, it's very funny. When you do
that I have a lot of blue-collar rage.
My God. Now, blue-collar, I always say that you are a cross between Jackie Gleason and Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah, more Jackie Gleason than Thich Nhat Hanh.
No, but
Thich Nhat Hanh is the part of me that wants to get better.
Yeah.
Jackie Gleason part of me is the bruised person I am from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Loveless Brooklyn.
You had a very unusual upbringing. Your parents, your father, Sicilian.
My father's Sicilian, my mother Jewish.
Wow.
Just chock full of guilt and recrimination. and, you know, no upside. No, the upside was lasagna. I loved lasagna.
You can always go to La Lasagna when everything else is it's like the movie The Hot Spell or something in your house.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I don't
but,
either. It's like a Shirley Booth movie.
Yeah, your references are great. No, because you do those old-timey references that no one will argue. Hot Spell.
Yeah,
Who the hell is gonna... Who is going to refute Hot Spell? Who am I, Leonard Maltin?
I'm not going to refute Hot Spell. Barry Hot Spell, tell him about it. No, I don't know. This is a Shirley Booth movie, I think.
Shirley Booth, great actress.
She's very comedic.
Pathos.
Yeah, she has
and comedy.
Yeah, and very dry. Barry, tell us what's been going on. What have you been doing? And I know that you've been writing. So you had an original series, I believe, for the web. Is that true?
Yeah, I produced a podcast series called "The Obscure County Election That Changed Nothing," which was basically about my newspaper career. It was a audio play, which I put out in 7 podcasts. Starred many fine people you've never heard of, and now I'm working on another one.
Did it feel? But it feels good to do these podcasts because there's complete creative control. You can actually do what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, particularly since it's just audio, it's very simple to do. I'd record one person at a time, and for no money, for like less than no money.
Sure.
My tiny apartment here. There's, I'll show you around. There's everything. There's everything you need to see.
You're actually living in Barton Fink's old room. That's unbelievable, Barry.
And he's still in it.
Well, I want to show people, I was talking about the Holy City Zoo, and I got to show you a clip because the last night of the Holy City Zoo, this is where Robin Williams performed quite a bit, and many other great comics who I have some clips I'll show you. But this is Barry and Jim doing a character that I remember how you guys created this. We used to go to a show called the Dr. Rock and Roll Show, which was like a karaoke show. And one night, Jim put something over here and started singing My Sharia Moore, like he had just had a tracheotomy, and now he's singing My Sharia Moore with a telephone box here. And here are Lank and Earl from the Holy City Zoo. I think do we have this, guys? It's going to be Jim and Barry, Jackie Fun.
Bring up a special guest comedian at this point, who has just who's had a successful comedy career for many years. Before he underwent a dangerous, difficult operation that everyone said would prevent him from performing comedy ever again. But he's decided to fight back, despite his handicap. So we're all pulling for him. Please welcome a brave man, Mr. Jackie Fun.
Thank you very much. Good to be here at the last night of the Holy City Zoo. Now these things will kill me, but I love them. Doctors, what do they know, right, buddy? Yeah. Right back at you. Hey, don't worry about it. These are Oak brand cigarettes. These are low in my cholesterol, motherfuckers. Quick impression, Jack in the Box. May I take your order, please? Yeah, no one's ever stealing that bit. Hey, watch this. You, the guy smoking, you want to remember this for future reference. This one's really clever.
God, do I love that. That's Lank and Earl doing Jackie Fun. The last night of the Holy City Zoo. This was a marathon.
That's right. There was a lot of pathos in that bit, by the way.
It came from a real place.
We speak truth to power. That was our motto, speak truth to power.
And that was really the cigarette companies. You kind of broke the code there, I think.
We ripped them a new one. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's all you can say.
Yeah,
that's all you will say. Now listen. Tell us about the Holy City Zoo and sort of your experiences there and what was going on at that time in San Francisco, because it really was a weird club, but there were great comedians.
No,
there.
That was the best place to go because you could do anything you wanted in it, and they'd give you 5-10 minutes, and you could go on. They had like open mics, maybe 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And they'd let anybody on stage. It wasn't a snobby place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then they'd have 2 professional shows on Friday and Saturday.
You guys were there quite a bit. I remember you guys were there all the time, a lot of the time.
I just love the open mics the most. That's why I was there so much, because any crazy human being could get up on stage and would. People just wandering in off the streets. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Now, it was out in the avenues in San Francisco, so it was like foggy all the time, like cold all year round. It's like summertime, it'd be like 40 degrees with like, you know, Agira, the Wrath of God breeze. How are you? How are you? Klaus Kinski, you know what I'm talking about. You people in South Africa know Vuvuzela. All right. So you know, and was there a particular place that you used to hang out, Eddie, in New York? Did you have like a home club, something like that?
I went through different home clubs, you know. There was a place I used to love. I'm the king of the alternative rooms.
Sure.
Meaning the king, and not the king, but that's what I like to do. I loved little spaces where, you know, artsy spaces, as opposed to comedy clubs. In the words of the great Andy Kindler,
yes,
comedy in a comedy club, I don't know, that sounds dicey.
It sounds
you know
dicey.
what I mean? Because you're dealing with a lot of people who want to laugh at very specific, oh, please tell us about how small the portions are for airplane food.
Yeah.
That's what me and the wife are here to see.
But here's the thing about that. It's a night out. It's not a night out to hear comedy. It's a night out for people. So most of the people are not from the city.
Right.
They're not from the neighborhood. They didn't walk over.
Right.
They came from a bridge. They came through a tunnel. They came through another time zone.
Another time zone.
And they don't care. They're there to have a drink.
Right.
It changed. It used to be, and comics didn't used to follow each other. It was a music act and a comedian in a club in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, this was not, you know, it's more of a variety show. You see comedian after comedian, it can be a little crazy. But I wanted to ask you, you say the alternative rooms.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of solo shows.
I have. I started doing solo shows in New York because my comedy is full of pathos.
It absolutely is.
Unlike Jim's. I find, yes,
Can
there
we
is
show that
one.
to the camera? That's one of the promotional items.
Can they see that?
Which you could walk away with. Can you guys? Can you get that?
Nobody can see any of this.
Look at how horrible I am.
What is this?
Look at how I don't even know where it is.
One of my first encounters with Eddie.
Was it?
Personally, at this show in New York.
You look a little bit like Jack Ruby here. If we put a hat on you, you're Jack Ruby.
Who was very funny, by the way.
He was funny, and the actor
Jack Ruby?
Oh my God,
nightclub owner. Funny.
Nightclub owner.
He was
very funny during times of assassination. He was
Yes.
a kick in the pants. Eddie, what I was going to lead into here is, Barry, I don't know if you've ever seen any of Eddie's solo shows, but there was a particular thing that happened in New York that you were talking about, and I loved it because it was about mental illness.
Oh, well, yeah, one of my characters was based on an ad I saw on the side of a bus, which was a guy holding a chain link fence, just looking out pleadingly, and underneath it said, "Don't face mental illness alone." So I thought, wow, okay, don't face mental illness alone. How about a guy who has to come out of his institution and speak about his mental illness at the halftime of Knicks Celtics at Madison Square Garden? So he's not facing his mental illness alone. He's at the half of the Knicks Celtics, packed house at the Garden, and you hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, Madison Square Garden, in association with Mount Sinai Cedar Memorial Hospital, Psychiatric Wing, and Nike, are proud to present the Don't Face Mental Illness Alone program. Tonight, facing his mental illness at center court is a man who's had too many setbacks to count. Please welcome Howard Amethyst." And then I would walk out like just, you know, like this psychotic guy who's been in a room, and then I'd be like, I'm used to speaking in front of small trusting groups. Thank you. Well, I guess my mental illness started. I was the head of a law firm, and I got home early one day and caught my wife sleeping with my son. Thank you. And like he warms up to the crowd, and eventually he's like, "You're a great crowd. Hey, you know, last night I had a dream where my balls were on the floor of a castle. What the fuck is that about?" And then the crowd warms up to like just the idea. And that's the stuff I like to do. I like to explore because I am a crazy person. And I think most comedians are like I have so much pent up anger,
yes,
frustration,
hello,
anxiety.
Good afternoon.
And I think all the great comics do. No personal. And you know what I mean?
Barry,
I'm
why
very
don't you
angry.
weigh in, Barry? Weigh in. What relationship are you to these kind of emotions?
Barry looks like Max Headroom. Look at that. Fucking idiot. Stupid thing.
Barry, you're in a room with a bulb over your head. You remind me of Morgan Freeman, the first time he came out of jail with James Whitmore's room, and
I can't relate to anything Eddie says. I don't believe
you can't relate to it.
Can't understand any of that.
No.
My anger issues have been resolved. I think it's just mean to make fun of.
Everything's okay.
He is
of the
like
mentally ill, especially if they're yourself.
No, Barry is like Dimitri Martin. He's resolved everything. No, he's a sweet guy. Dimitri is the guy who just gets up there and goes, "Hello, look at this clipboard," and that's it.
And that's what I meant. He travels with a clipboard. I have to bring a whole suitcase. I bring a suitcase of pain. No, anyway. That's a beautiful title for a show.
I like the
Jimmy?
Suitcase of Pain.
Jimmy?
Yep, Eddie.
All right, Jimmy.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Now, Jimmy,
yeah,
you have written for a program called Air America, a network called Air America.
Yes, along with Barry Lank.
Can you take us back to the days of Air America? Air America is still broadcasting, aren't they?
No, it's defunct now. Isn't it?
Yes, it's gone.
It is gone. What happened there?
Don't you have a news feed? It's gone.
I heard that the Beatles are talking about breaking up. They have not broken up in my mind.
You're just still watching the front page at home. Look at this!
Ben Hecht is a genius! Ben Hecht. I pulled Ben Hecht. All right. So what happened over there?
Eric von Stroheim.
I love Eric von Stroheim. Sunset Boulevard. Very good.
Well, you can't beat that.
So what happened at Air America? You have Senator
long,
Al
long,
Franken.
long story.
Senator Al Franken.
I know.
He did fine.
What happened?
He did fine, and so did Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
The rest of us are in obscurity.
Man, was it hard to write for that network? I mean, this is a very left-wing.
For me, it was at first, and then I got acclimated. I pretty much assigned myself to one radio show, the Mark Maron Show.
Okay.
From 6 to 9, and I wrote about 5 bits on that, and that was fun. And then the rest of the day was hell.
How so?
Because then I'd have to write bits for everybody else's show, and they didn't like it. Or, some of them did and some of them didn't. It was harder. It was a long day, and then I'd have to go home at night and write for the morning show, and this happened every single night.
You were writing around the clock?
Kind of, yeah.
You can't be funny. That's the thing. Comedians can't be funny around the clock.
No.
Okay?
1 hour a day, if that.
If that.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Now but you're in New York. New York is a conducive to writing, unlike LA, I think.
I don't know if New York is conducive.
You don't think it's conducive?
to writing.
No,
Where do you come up with this shit?
Well, here's the
it
thing.
sounds good to you in your head.
No.
New York is conducive to writing.
Well, here's the
Suitcase
thing.
of pain.
Hey, suitcase of pain. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Krugerrands,
I was
Bullwhorn.
out here. I was out here. I came out here. And I tried to write. I would watch movies, a Sunday afternoon movie. I was single. I had hair. I had dreams. I was sitting in my
now
apartment.
you have a single hair and
no dreams. Right. I was sitting. He flipped it. See how I was sitting? I was sitting. And
Flip, Rob Reiner. It's gotten good buzz.
Good movie,
I
huh?
don't know. I haven't seen it.
Me neither. I was trying to watch a Tracy Hepburn movie. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I told this before. The fingers of sun start to come in.
In L.A.?
You can't watch a movie. You're
I
watching a
love The
movie,
Sun.
and the fingers of Sun come in,
I love
and
The
Spencer
Sun.
Tracy looks like he's wearing a mitre. He's wearing a Pope's hat. The fingers of Sun. What is this? 2 mules for Sister Sarah? Who is this?
You look like a cockatoo when you do
I
that.
am a cockatoo.
No, New York was hard. Well, it's, if you work all day and you make just enough to have kind of a nice place to live, then New York is hell because you can't ever do anything. The only people who enjoy New York are tourists because they can go there and see the museums and movies and eat out a lot. And then they go home. You live there, you don't have time for any of that, and you're broke. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you're like it's like Patty Chayefsky dinner theater. Was that good for you?
I love
you like You like the Padmeister?
He did a lot of TV drama.
He made TV. He wrote the teleplays for TV.
What was the one with Ernest Borgnine? The movie Marty. Mom, leave me alone. I'm gonna date. I don't want to be pushed into dating, Mommy.
You see,
Borgnine is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award next year.
Is he still alive?
Yeah. He doesn't have a news feed. Ed Crasnick does
Borgnine is still with us?
Yes.
Tova's still with us.
Who?
His wife is still with us.
Oh, I don't know Tova.
But Ernie's still with us?
Yeah.
I was doing the Donnie Marie, a long time Donnie Marie show. He came on, Rod Steiger came on, they didn't know who he was.
Forrest Tucker is gone,
What?
however.
No!
Yes, Forrest Tucker.
All right, listen, now I just want to ask you guys, San Francisco comedians, I just want to go back to San Francisco for a minute. Favorite comics that you've seen out there? Somebody at the zoo, somebody not at the zoo? Did you have particular people that you used to like to watch? Barry?
Jeremy Kramer.
There's a lot of them.
Jeremy S. Kramer always had a huge following from like the day I showed up, and he's still rambling around to Los Angeles someplace. I think
he was fantastic. You know, he used to look at the audience, and he would just look at them, and he was just as happy to make them uncomfortable. So look at the audience if they didn't laugh at some of his stuff, and he'd go,
if he made
good,
if he bombed, that would actually make his act longer.
He would make it longer.
Much longer.
Didn't he do the thing? Remember, Jeremy Kramer would do. Welcome to the Hollywood Squares. I'd like to take Lightnin' Hopkins to block. Hey, Lightnin'. He would do Lightnin' Hopkins. And he'd do, let's go to a Lightnin' Hopkins question. And he'd go like, Lightnin', how long does it take to get from the Earth to the moon? And he's like, Lightnin', how long is it? Here's a Lightnin'. And Lightnin' goes like this. He goes, wahoo, woo, woo. Lightnin' Hopkins to block. He'd have Jeremy. He was great. I'm talking about a guy.
Sacco and Vanzetti on the Hollywood Squares, the best Hollywood Square episode I ever saw.
Were they great?
They were in the booth.
Were they in the middle?
They were in the middle.
Charlie Weaver below, Sacco and Vanzetti over here, Ruta Lee down here with a fur coat.
Ruta Lee?
And Bruce Valanche up here, making a lot of money, going with the let's take a look now at a clip. I mentioned San Francisco because there's a bunch of guys who you don't see, they're not popularized as much anymore, but I don't want to forget them because they were amazing. Particular guy I'm talking about is a gentleman named Warren Thomas. And one of the things, Warren, of course, passed away some years ago, and he just was amazing. And my favorite thing that Warren used to do is when he'd start bombing with the crowd, he had this bit that he'd do. Let's take a look now. If we have Warren Thomas, guys. Let's take a look at Warren Thomas.
Wordy lose 'em. Let's go to the board. This week on Wordy Lose 'em, we discover where Warren lost the audience. Warren's buttfuck sketch failed to generate the heat that his earlier bits had generated. The audience did not want to take the plunge into the Quantum Leap River from here. They went down the non sequitur bridge and walked around to No Laughterville. We'll be back with more Wordy Lose 'em later. Now the energy in the room is down here at the Sinbad I'm Not Funny line. Yes, all of a sudden Warren's a big orange nigger in a jumpsuit selling McRibs for no reason. We'll be back with more Wordy Lose 'em later.
And then all of a sudden, like, imagine being in jail, your life's messed up, you're doing life, things are horrible, you're getting gang raped occasionally. Things aren't good, but you adjust, right? Okay. Now your cellmate's like Jeffrey Dahmer walks in. Could you imagine the guy who's his cellmate? Some guy just went, oh, no, that's all I need. Yeah, So he's got to walk around like, woo, I taste horrible. Oh! A lot of people think I'm gamey. Did I ever tell you I had toxic nuts, Jeffrey? I lived near the Love Canal, skinny dipping one day. Well, that's another story. It's me. What about you, Jeff? No wine goes good with a buff Negro, Jeff. Just thought you should know that little culinary tip. These are cannibalism jokes, folks.
Oh, I just loved him. I love when he would do those references, and he was, you know, he was a very unusual guy, and then he was this powerfully built, like very. I mean, he was so quick, and his references made sense, unlike mine. And he'd do this like where'd he lose him thing, and then he'd dissect his act, and it was so funny. He was just so fast.
Brilliant. He was a brilliant guy.
Yeah, he really was
great
brilliant.
Comic, and he and Jeremy Kramer, my two favorites. Yeah.
What happened to him?
Warren passed away. He passed away.
Well, how? Or is that not supposed to be talked about?
It's
blood clot.
Well, go ahead.
What happened?
It was a blood clot.
It was a blood clot?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
he worked with us at Air America, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So good.
Right next to him, Barry and I did, and
Yep.
but he was. I didn't think he had that much money. I don't, you know, only this country would. Somebody like that would die the way he did without adequate health care and you know the whole crap load. You know.
He was a wonderfully talented guy. I remember sitting with him and Greg Proops and just laughing my head off. The two of them were just so funny together. And Warren was singularly talented. He really was.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good comics in San Francisco, and a lot of people who played the Holy City Zoo, which we just showed the clip of. And but there are also a lot of great comics back east in New York. And who did you like to watch? Who were you influenced by when you were starting in the clubs or doing improv? Did you go out to see people much? Or?
Well, not until I started doing it myself. I remember, let's see, who did I first see? You know, I saw Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Before he was anybody, just kind of slugging it out at Catch a Rising Star or slugging it out at the comic strip. I saw Romano when he was slugging it out at the comic strip.
Sure.
You know, my heroes were Gleason, not necessarily stand-ups, but Jonathan Winters.
Oh, man.
I love Jonathan Winters.
So good, so good.
I loved Robin Williams when I was breaking in. I loved how quick he was and how silly he was.
Did you ever see the Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes?
He was funny. Very. Ed Bradley, one of the funniest people on 60 Minutes. Him and Wallace, before he got depressed, extremely funny.
And then we found out from this man. No, I love Ed Bradley interviewed Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams.
Oh, I
and
didn't
you
see
got
that.
to see. You should definitely
YouTube that,
watch that because it's so good. Because you get to see the difference in styles. Robin Williams is very animated, very physical. Jonathan Winters is just sitting in a chair, and it literally just comes through him. He does not move.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah.
And it's so,
Williams seems like he's putting on being crazy. Winters seemed crazy, which to me was so funny. It seemed like he was really insane. Like he'd do those words like, you know it.
Yeah.
You better service me tonight, or you're not gonna get veal. You know what I mean?
Really
like,
would.
He just seemed insane.
And if you watch this thing with Ed Bradley, he does this thing, and you're thinking, oh my God, where's he going with this? He looks at Ed Bradley and he says, Edward, I know you never learned to read nor write. You're a beautiful human being. I don't care what anybody says about you. I want you to stay by the shore. Go up by the shore, and you're thinking, oh boy, this cannot turn out well. And he keeps going, and he says, you'll go north. And and by the time he's finished, it makes sense. He's like a genius. But he doesn't panic or do any, you know.
I went and saw, my girlfriend took me to Mort Saul's 80th birthday, where Winters, this was the first time I saw him live. Winters was one of the guests. It was a cavalcade of stars. Shelley Berman did his telephone bit.
Did you go out? Was it out at UCLA?
Yeah.
I was there. I was in that audience.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
so
my
I
God.
saw Jonathan Winters for the first time.
Well, that night, Albert Brooks came on stage.
Albert Brooks was very funny.
And he did this amazing thing. He comes up and he says, I don't know who the people are that made this event. I'm not familiar with them. But he said, I had thought that Mort had passed away.
Yes.
And he said, and all I have is this eulogy. And I don't have any material, so I'll have to read the eulogy.
Yeah.
The last time I saw him, and it was just, he just went with it. It was so funny. So funny.
It was a nice blend of older and younger comics.
It was.
Bill Maher.
Richard Lewis was there.
Was,
Carlin,
I
think,
think, my favorite.
was there. I want to
Oh
say
yeah,
Carlin.
I think so.
Yeah. And I was in that. I saw these guys backstage. Albert Brooks is walking around, and I said, "Albert, looks like a Richie Havens crowd." He said, "You think?" When did they drop? You know, it was like the greatest of all time. Barry, before we leave you, and I'm sorry we haven't. We're going to speak again. We're going to have you on again. But do you have anything that you want to say to South Africa?
I admire your women.
I thought we'd talked about this off camera. I don't know why.
I enjoy your unique latitude, which I will look up as soon as we're done here.
Barry, where can we see? How do we access the audio, the podcast? What is the address?
If you just know my name, Barry Lank.
Yes.
Go to barrylank.com. You'll have a link right there. It's called The Obscure County Election That Changed Nothing, and it will just exist until I stop paying my bills.
Fantastic. You're having a good time doing it.
Yeah, it's very satisfying to finish one of those things. It takes a long time, but it's good when it's done.
Okay. Barry Lank, ladies and gentlemen, formerly of Lank and Earl now. You can check out his podcast. Go to barrylank.com. Barry, great to see you. Thank you for doing this. We'll do it again.
Ed, you look taller on TV. You look great.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Barry.
Jim wants to say
Jim.
something.
Yeah, Jim.
Anyway, Ed,
that kind of that was the glue of the relationship right there. 25 years of working together.
There was great timing there.
Yeah, it really was.
Oh, yeah. Pathos.
Nice.
And pathos. A lot of pathos.
This is the Pathos Show. This is the Pathos. I'm Dr. Pathos. Barry Lank, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to play one more thing before we go out. I'm trying to think. I guess I would have to play this for Eddie because I think about an East Coast comic, and I think about a guy named Nick DiPaolo. Do you know Nick?
Yeah.
Well, Nick is a good. I always thought he was very funny. And
yeah, he is.
Not a guy who some people are like they don't get.
He's a right-wing moron, though.
Is he right-wing?
Yeah.
Well,
I believe it.
I'm not going to play him though. If he's
no,
right,
lately.
He's right-wing.
He's a right-wing guy,
Yeah,
and I
can't have
think he's very funny.
I can't have it.
I think he's funny.
I don't have it because...
But I don't understand right-wing comics. Like, oh, really? Do we need comics to service the establishment?
Tell me that he's a right-wing comic again.
He's a right-wing comic.
Well, I think we should have...
That was originally done show of shows.
Then I think we should have... I bow to the past and I spit to the left. I think we need to play then a good friend, very funny. Let's take a look at Judy Gold. Do you know Judy Gold?
Yes.
Not right-wing.
I don't know.
All I know is that...
Should I do Todd Barry? Is that better for you?
What? No, Judy Gold is fine.
All right, let's do Judy Gold. Judy Gold, take a look at a fabulous friend. East Coast, very funny.
Was born. She didn't know how to explain it to her friends. So I swear to God, this is what she used to say to people. Judith's roommate had a baby, and then Judith adopted him. Yeah, Ma, we were splitting the rent, so I figured, I should probably pay for half of the kid. What the hell is that? Out of her mind. She loves the kids, though. It's so funny. We go to her house. She does not know what to do with the kids. So I swear to God, a couple of weeks ago, we go to her house, and we walk in. She's sitting in some room depressed. Anyway, Henry walks in. He's like, hey, Grandma, Ben's running around. I'm chasing after him. And I hear Henry and my mother in the other room having a great time. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? I walk in. They're taking each other's blood pressure. Okay.
They're taking each other's blood pressure. That's Judy Gold. We're here with Jim Earl and Eddie Pepitone, and Barry Lank has joined us. And I just want to say congratulations to all the Emmy winners tonight who are in this room. We're all winners tonight. Yeah. Aren't we, South Africa? Come on. Thank you very much to South Africa. Vuvuzela. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been This Week in Comedy. I'm Ed Crasnick. I want to thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
I always love seeing you. I always love seeing you, Jimmy.
Northern Warrior.
Barry, a pleasure. And next week, we're going to be off, but the following week, I think we're going to have Roger Nygaard, a director who directed this great movie called The Nature of Existence, also the director of Trekkies, and I think we're going to have Paul Gilmartin. I think we might have a special guest that I don't want to tip right now. I'm Ed Crasnick. You've been a great crowd. Thanks for watching.